Peace and blessings and namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and this is a minor rut roll, okay? Don't think it's that much of a big deal, but it can be a trigger warning to those who have underlying racism issues or things of that nature. It is not designed to be this way or to be offensive to anybody, okay? Especially based on off of race or ethnicity. It's just that I have been pushed to give you this information so that you can start seeing things for what it really is. And one of the things that I discovered during this journey was that as I started to incorporate more of my higher self, it started unlocking more soul memories for me. Okay, issues, things that were hidden, things that are now being revealed, and some of the information that I get, you may not be able to find anywhere else, and I do apologize for that. Okay, but you got to understand that I am dealing with a consciousness right now. Okay, and information that has been hidden in plain sight. All right, but because of a lot of the programming, we don't quite look at it the way that we should. So many of us throughout all of the history have kind of been taught how to interpret things as opposed to interpreting it through our own eyes. Okay. And so now I'm getting ready to show you something. Okay. Show you something that you may have overlooked a little bit in the past, but it has a story behind it. And if you follow me, it will make sense. Okay. And once again, if you feel offended by what it is that I'm getting ready to say, it has nothing to do with race, okay? I am not one of those type of beings. I only see spirit and soul, okay? And, but maybe if I bring a little bit more clarity to the situation, maybe those of you who are observing this transmission, it might help us close the gap of division. All right. So what is this transmission about today? It is about the hidden Sophia and tarot. Ooh, let's go. All right. When I was young, right? When I was around 12, 14 years old, I used to play around with tarot. And I was really good at it. I was reading it. I was reading it kind of intuitively because I never really studied the book. But of course, when you grow up in religion and Christianity and things like that, it was kind of taboo. So what I ended up doing was putting those things away, dismissing it, and starting to rely more on my intuition or telepathic communication, more of my clairvoyant communication, okay? And recently, all of my friends, not all of them, but a lot of my friends, a lot of very important people to me, some of them really do read tarot, okay? And they do it with clairvoyance, like they're psychic. They do intuitive readings. They can understand these cards like nobody's business. I mean, they point out this whole entire story, and I'm going, wow, how'd you get that from a guy holding sticks? But but they can do it. And then I elevated I expanded some of my belief system to realize that, it's not the deck itself. Okay, that can be looked at as light or dark, but it's the reader, and the deck is just a tool to tap. It's just a divination tool. All right. So I sit around and I listen to some of my high divine feminine sisters and high divine feminine masters, and they can read these tarots. And then all of a sudden in my YouTube feed, here comes all of these tarot readings with all of these wild stories about what's going on in the collective. And I'm telling you, I was glued to these stories because some of them are pretty hilarious. All right. But I was more amazed at the way that they were able to read the cards. Okay. How they would fly out their hands and how they were interpreting the things differently. Like each reader would interpret something differently. And I thought it was just amazing to me. I'm psychic intuitive, but, I haven't gotten to the point where I could read like that, and I can do a little bit of oracles, but not like that, not tarot. Okay. So one of the themes that kept coming up over and over and over again is, these tarot readers will come out. Oh, who is this? Who is this? Oh, it's the Empress, and the Empress is the most powerful woman in the deck. The Empress is the most powerful woman in the deck because she consists of all four queens. The Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Cups, okay? Because so she's loving, compassionate, and she justice, and this, that, and third, and that, all held the Queen, right? And so I started studying, and this is basically with the Rider-Waite deck. I mean, there have been decks that have been updated since this, and all decks don't really look the same, but the ones that I was seeing had something pretty consistent in it, okay? And so what I noticed was when the Empress card came out, she was this regal, gorgeous, beautiful white woman, right? Blonde hair, pearls and whatnot, sitting on her throne. And this was the image of the most powerful woman in the deck, right? But then when the High Priestess came out, here you have a melanated being, the kind of brownish, melanated being, dark hair. And she's too sitting on a throne, but she's sitting in between two pillars. She has a moon under her feet, and she is considered all-knowing. The High Priestess is considered all-knowing. And so I was sitting here watching the comparison between these two, and my spiritual eye started awakening, and I said, I see now. Okay? So here's what I wanted to bring to you. If the Empress, okay, is the most powerful woman in the deck, and she can incorporate all four queens rolled up into one to be this powerhouse, then surely that must only be representative of the material world or the earth world. Because on the flip side of this, if you have a High Priestess that is all-knowing, then that means an all-knowing being has the ability to be an Empress, which would literally make her the most powerful woman in the deck. Let's look at the High Priestess card for a second. You're seeing her between two pillars, and in esoteric wisdom, they will tell you that these pillars are representative of the two pillars of Solomon, and it has a B and a J on it, and this is Boaz and Jokin, okay? And it will tell you that she's in between black and white, which is pretty symbolic of duality to me, okay? So we have this symbolism that's going on here, okay? She's sitting in the balance of black and white. So she's sitting in the balance of light and dark. She's also all-knowing, okay? And that B and that J, when I see it, even though I know what it is it's supposed to represent, but I see balance and justice, okay? I see the hidden Sophia, all right? Now, the way that she is portrayed is not as beautiful as the Empress card, right? But her beauty is more enchanting, okay? Her skin texture is also represented between the duality, okay? So the black and the white there, and then you have this lightish brown, or this brown woman with black hair, that is sitting there. And it just told a completely different story to me. And I want to share this story with you because it seems to be a reoccurring theme throughout history. And if you don't know the history, you're not going to be able to pick up on this right away. But I'm going to help you understand what it is that I'm seeing and how I'm processing this, okay? Now, for centuries, who knows how long, when we read about the Sophia, or the Pistis Sophia, looks like this. Okay? That's supposed to be Sophia. But when you understand the history of who Sophia really is, who was her first creation, her emanation, where she came from, okay, as a purely etheric being, okay, she is made of nothing but pure ether matter. When you actually get to witness the being in the purest form, it's all black. All black with like stardust, it's all black. It's ether, it's melanin, it's pure melanin. Okay, follow me. Also, the Sophia and her archetypes of divine feminine weren't always compassionate. Okay, when it came down to her being a being of unconditional love, absolutely. Mercy, yes. Grace, yes. Altruism, benevolence, kindness, all of that. All right? But in order for emanations to come from other emanations that have different personality types, then that means that those personalities had to be already in existence. And I know this is going to sound off to you, but if you follow me, I'm going to give you the wisdom necessary. The Sophia, and then you read her story, she goes through these repentances and things like that to let you know that she had another nature too. And that nature was justice, balance, and law as well. Okay? Her divine feminine archetypes all represents these aspects of this wisdom. Okay? And when we're dealing with wisdom, wisdom in of itself is not black or white. Okay, wisdom in of itself is just is. It's experience, okay? It's applied knowledge. It's understanding on a beautiful scale. So therefore, the divine feminine in the Kabbalah always represented Binah. All right? So we're following this. Now, the High Priestess card representing this divine feminine, the shade of black and white, the balance of the pair, the polarity, and being all-knowing would naturally tell you that the Empress could not be the most powerful card in the deck. It has to be the High Priestess. Okay? Why is this important? Why is this important? Number one, a High Priestess that is all-knowing has to be all-knowing in all areas. Okay? So this means that she too can be all four queens of the deck, okay? Because an all-knowing being will already know how to generate wealth, how to generate success, how to pour their cup of love, how to be an authoritative figure when necessary, okay? So case in point, the High Priestess can be the Empress and be in the Empress energy, but the Empress doesn't necessarily have to be a High Priestess. Do you understand? Because the High Priestess is a positioning and it is a call. All right. Whereas one could work and really, really develop themselves and become an Empress figure through the work, through the elevation. And this is what we're all trying to get to too, right? But the High Priestess is in the class of her own by herself, the hidden Sophia. So in other words, if the Empress represents this authority on the earth realm or on the material realm, then the High Priestess represents the authority in the ethereal realm. This is how she is able to be all-knowing, okay? This is how she, too, can incorporate the Empress into herself, but the Empress doesn't necessarily have the ability to incorporate the High Priestess figure, okay? The most powerful woman in the deck is the High Priestess, and that's not a well-known fact, nor is it being taught, but I can see it as clear as day, all right? Now, I've told you before, everything that I teach you is not going to be found in the book. Okay, I am pulling the energy, the information from other realms here. Okay, and once again, if it resonates with you, take it, love it, and run with it. If it does not, store it and find a teacher that you can resonate with on your frequency. It does not bother me. I'm not offended. I'm not easily offended. Okay, but I'm looking at this High Priestess card, and then I'm tapping in to the past. Follow me. The counterpart to the High Priestess is the Hierophant, supposedly, in the deck. But let's go back in time and figure out, and even in present day, where we are seeing this repeated pattern, okay, of the divine feminine, the Sophia, the wisdom that was carefully hidden behind other faces or attributes or this, that, and the third, but where they had to actually expose this truth, okay? So number one, in some of the tarot decks, you will see that this High Priestess is a melanated woman, all right? That's number one. Number two, let's go back to even the Old Testament, King Solomon, the Queen of the South, who is Queen Sheba, who was from Ethiopia. And when you read into the Songs of Solomon and about their love story, one of the things that stands out is they say, I am black, but I am comely. All right? Okay. Now, we want to go here too as well. The Lost Book of Enki talks about the Anunnaki story of how they got here. And once again, you see this same thing where there was a king of the north and he marries the Queen of the South. Okay, and they're different. Doesn't quite tell you how different in that particular book, but they're different. Fast forward to the Black Madonna. Okay, now the Black Madonna is also hidden in plain sight, and people are looking at the Black Madonna. Okay, and they think, oh, this is Mother Mary and Joseph. But you have two artist renderings out there concerning this, okay? You have one that, like in Lithuania, Romania, a lot of the Orthodox Catholic and religious churches, they show the Negro Madonna, okay? They show the Black Madonna holding a child by herself. Whereas more contemporary or Renaissance style, okay, you will see the Holy Family, okay? You'll see the mother, the father, and the son. And that was supposed to be representative, however you want to look at it. Some say Osiris, Isis, Horus. Some say Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. But they're all families. Whereas the Black Madonna is holding a baby by herself. And she's very, very dark. Look it up, the Black Madonna. And people are looking at this Black Madonna figure, and they're assuming that this is Mother Mary and her child, and it's not. The truth of the matter is the Black Madonna statues are representing Sophia and Yaldabaoth. That's going to be a hard pill to swallow for some of you theology majors. Once again, I told you that when you go to these schools, they teach you how to think. But those who are chosen and enlightened, we get the truth behind the matter. Okay? Whether or not you can adapt this truth to be your truth is an individual choice. It's free will. But from the perspective of how I am seeing this world, this realm, it is a truth. Okay? Now, this concept of this forbidden relationship, whereas the representative of something that is royal, okay, authoritative, regal, is going to be represented as not just a white woman, okay, because a lot of white women have a lot of melanin in them too, but I mean a pale kind of white woman. Blonde hair, like the standard. That's the standard. And that's supposed to be the most powerful woman in the deck. And then you go over to the high priestess, and she's just kind of drab and plain and sitting there. But what she is representing is way higher than material things. But your eyes aren't drawn to her as being the most powerful woman in the deck. She's drawn to the empress. But the high priestess can be the empress. The empress can't be the high priestess. And one is representing the material world, and the other one is representing the ethereal world, the high wisdom, the high knowledge, the initiate. So who truly has the most authority? All right, getting back to the stories. So they have been hiding these things in religion. You'll see it, but you don't know what it is, And the only reason why I'm bringing this out is not to cause racial disparities. This has nothing to do with race. As a matter of fact, if you know me, you know me, right? I don't have to explain that. But it's designed to bring about a truth so we can get past the whitewashing right now. We can get past all of the whitewashing. Different tarot decks have her looking different, but the ones that I have found more consistency is she is a melanated woman sitting there, okay? Now, this concept, Solomon and Sheba, Anunnaki, King of the North, Queen of the South, then they even kind of brought it to your face in movies, okay? Are you seeing all of the parallels that is coming through? Let's look at the Matrix, the architect, the oracle, okay? Supposed to be the father and the mother. But look at them. Look at the dynamic, right? So why are we hiding, even in plain sight, the tarot cards and still attributing the Empress as being higher or more valued than an all-knowing priestess? What is being taught to you? That the material world is more necessary, is more highly valued? Or is it the being itself, the representation, the white woman, as being highly valued? Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is not to everybody. This is getting you to see that some of these things are being shown to you and you're not paying attention to it. So when they bring out the movie The Matrix and you have the architect, stoic, white, you know what I mean? Analytical, logical, power. He's representing something. What? He's an emperor, maybe. But the emperor is supposed to be paired with the empress. But in the movie The Matrix, the emperor seeks his information or is constantly not debating, but he and the oracle are playing a game here. The oracle representing love, okay, that added into the equation of this matrix system that kind of shook things up a bit, okay? And so the architect looks at her and says, you played a dangerous game. And she's like, I know. Right? You see in, I think it was a show called The Strain, where this one little black girl was immune or held the key to the cure, okay? You also seen it in the movie Dr. Sleep. This white male, powerful telepath comes across this younger black woman who's an even more powerful telepath, and they have to get together and fight off these energy vampires that are harming children. I mean, it's such a terrible movie, but you have to watch it for the symbolism. It was hard to watch. It really was. What they did, what they were doing to those children, how they were murdering those children and absorbing their life forces, okay? But it told you a story, and you have to pay attention to it. What I'm saying to you is there are so much things that are hidden in plain sight, but you're not able to see it because you've been programmed to think like this. And a lot of things have programmed you to devalue your own worth and your essence. How is it that somebody that can control material world is more powerful than someone that can control consciousness, all knowing, right? And that can also encompass the Empress herself. So ask yourself, what game is being played here? Why is Sophia hidden in plain sight and constantly being overlooked? B and J, oh, Boaz and Jachin, the two pillars of Solomon. Even Solomon was supposed to be the most wisest man on the world until he came across Queen Sheba. Ladies, empresses, queens, and also high priestesses. I didn't put this information out to startle you or to cause any type of division. I want you to see clearly why it was necessary for some of us to wake up during this time. I want you to see clearly how some things will do right in front of your face and how easily it was overlooked because of the programming. I want you to understand that there's nothing about you, whether you're white, black, Asian, whatever, that should or needs to be overlooked. You have to understand your worth and you have to understand your value. And if you do not, someone else will assign a value to you. I had to wake up again during this time. And I have to show you what is hidden in plain sight. The Black Madonna, the High Priestess. And if you stick around, you'll find out about Inanna as well, who truly is the first crucified Savior. And yes, she was a melanated woman as well. as many of the archetypes. Okay? We need a little bit more diversity here in these angelic realms. Don't you, wouldn't you agree? With these Renaissance painting, wouldn't you agree? But then again, maybe that was for a specific pantheon, right? But you need to know that what I see in these tarot cards is a lot of hidden things. I don't know. Maybe I should read them. You tell me. I am Sophie. I love you all.